What's up, everybody? It's DC, and as you can see, Lake is not on my side. He's on vacation. But today is episode 8, and we're going to talk about some NFL news that happened this week, as well as some fantasy surprises this week. We also have some college football news as well. Not much happened, but I'll get into it as well. But first up, we're going to talk about the Bills falling to the New England Patriots. Now, the Bills were undefeated coming into this game. And it surprised a lot of people that they took the loss against the Patriots. We hadn't really seen a lot going on with the Patriots. Drake May had been playing well, but nothing that really stood out to me. Josh Allen played well, but not well enough to get the Bills the victory on Sunday. And the Patriots will go on to face the New Orleans Saints this week, who just came off their first win. And next up, the Philadelphia Eagles, the other only remaining team that was undefeated, fell to the Denver Broncos as they blew a 17-3 lead in the third quarter. Bo Nix was able to lobby the team to a win. They won 21-17, 18 unanswered points. The Eagles defense gave up a lot. Jalen Hurts didn't play well in the second half, and that's one of the major reasons why the Eagles lost. You could argue that there was a missed pass interference at the end, but at the same time, the Eagles blew a 14-point lead that they had coming into the fourth quarter. This is why they lost. The New Orleans Saints get their first win of the year. They're not going 0-17, like Lake said. So that's great. Spencer Rattler, I thought, played pretty well. Went 20 of 30, had around 220 yards, a touchdown to Rashid Shaheed. Got him involved this past weekend, was very impressed. Jackson Dart struggled a little bit. He threw 2 interceptions, as well as he fumbled I don't know what was going on, but he fumbled. So he had 3 total turnovers, but this was more so of a defensive win for New Orleans. They won 26-14, and it was mainly off of scooping scores that got them the win and got them their first win of the year. And like I said, they will take on the New England Patriots on Sunday. And that should be a tough game for the New Orleans Saints, but hopefully they can lobby it together and get their second straight win. An upset from this week, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team I said was going to be a sleeper this year. As they go to 4-1, the Chiefs dropped to 2-3. Trevor Lawrence tripped and was able to get back on his feet, get in the end zone for the easy touchdown for the Jacksonville Jaguars as they won 31-28. Surprised a lot of people, surprised me that Jacksonville won that game. Liam Cohen is looking like a candidate for Coach of the Year. And honestly, I was impressed with the Jags and how they responded. They were down 13 nothing down early. They were able to come back, get the win, and they are currently tied first with the Indianapolis Colts for first place in the AFC South. A lot of people thought it would be the Houston Texans, but it is not. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts who are fighting for that number 1 spot in the AFC South. That's pretty much what happened in the NFL last week. But next up, let's get into a little bit of a fantasy segment. As a player in fantasy that surprised a lot of people, Rico Dowdle was the number 3 back for the Carolina Panthers. He was thrown into action last Sunday against the Dolphins. And he had 200 yards and 2 touchdowns that got Carolina their second win of the season. He had 33 points, a lot of points that people didn't expect him to go off. So if you're a fantasy owner, you might want to consider starting him. But at the same time, it's possible that Chuba Hubbard could come back this week. He's listed as questionable on the Panthers injury report. But just someone that really surprised me and really had a great game on Sunday. Another player that went off was Jonathan Taylor, as he proves why he might be one of the maybe the second best running back in the NFL behind Christian McCaffrey this season, as he had 31.6 points as well as 3 touchdowns and over 150 scrimmage yards to get the Colts their 4th win of the year over the garbage Las Vegas Raiders. Emeka Egbuka went off as well. He had 31.3 points on that injured Seahawks defense. I'm pretty upset about it, but he had a great performance. He's looking like the best rookie receiver by far, and it was a great pick by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to go on and pick him 18th overall as well. So good win for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're 4-1 as well. They look good. Baker Mayfield looks like a top 10 quarterback. But can he lead the Bucs to can he win big games for the Bucks? I don't know if that question can be answered. And someone that's just been very consistent and is the consensus wide receiver one in fantasy this year is going to be Puka Nacua. He put up about 24.5 points, and I was a little worried because Puka, he only had around 10 points going into like the second quarter. So I was a little worried to how his production would be going into the game, but he gave me 24. He was the reason why my fantasy team won for the third straight week, so I was pretty excited about it. If you have him, you're pretty blessed being a Puka Nacua fantasy manager. So that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for the fantasy segment. He'd probably disagree with everything I'm saying, but we're going to go into college football. As you know, not much happened. LSU was on a bye. Alabama beat Vanderbilt. Nothing crazy happened in the SEC. But one thing did happen to the Texas Longhorns as they completely drop out of the rankings as they lost to Florida last Saturday. And it surprised a lot of people. But I thought it was going to be a trap game for Texas because they have not faced anyone competitive since that Ohio State game in week 1 where Arch Manning just stunk it up, and he continues to stink. He is not very good for Texas. I think they might want to consider making a quarterback change. They face Oklahoma this Saturday in the Red River Shootout. That's going to be a tough game. Oklahoma is a really good team. And so if they want to get better, they're going to have to make a decision at quarterback. Arch was sacked 7 times by the Florida D-line. They showed up and showed out. And the Florida offense wasn't asked to do much. DJ Lagway had, I believe, 1 or 2 touchdowns. He didn't have to do much. I mean, the running game was outstanding for Florida. But Arch Manning did not play well. He had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and he just doesn't look great. And it baffles me how much hype he got in this preseason for not really even starting a game. And there was people last year questioning Quinn Ewers and the fact that he should have been benched for Arch Manning. But it's a good thing that Coach Steve Sarkisian of the Texas Longhorns did not start Arch Manning, as this is what we see this year. But they were the number 1 team in the preseason AP polls, and it just shows you how stupid the preseason AP polls are as they fall completely out of the rankings, and they are now 3-2, and they are in jeopardy of not even making the college football playoff. Forget about not making the SEC champion. They might not even make the playoff. And that's definitely something they don't want to do. They got Georgia coming up on their schedule. And honestly, Texas has to win out if they want a shot at the college football playoff, which I don't see them making at this point if they remain with Arch Manning at quarterback. But another huge upset. UCLA, who was 0-4 and who had just fired their head coach last week, they get a win over number 7 Penn State. It surprised a lot of people. Nico Iamaleava, who had transferred from Tennessee. A lot of things have been said about him, that he went to UCLA basically for the money. Man, he balled out on that Penn State defense. He had 4 total touchdowns, 2 rushing, 2 passing. This is the Nico we thought we were going to see at Tennessee. Didn't see it there. See it at UCLA. On that Penn State defense that everybody seems to hype up, and they just didn't show up. They gave up 42 points as they lost 42-34 this past Saturday. As Penn State, they were number 2 in the preseason poll as well, and they completely drop out of the rankings, and that just makes a lot of people mad. The preseason rankings are not it's not a good factor when you go into the regular season to see how teams really are. So it's kind of disappointing that they dropped out the rankings. I'm not the biggest Penn State fan. This guy said Drew Aller was going to win the Heisman. He sure doesn't look like it. He does not look like the answer for the Penn State Nittany Lions, as they are 3-2 as well. And they are in jeopardy of not making the playoff as well as they made it last season. We're going to get into some more college football news since we have a little bit of time. Garrett Nussmeier and the LSU Tigers will go to Tiger Stadium to face the South Carolina Gamecocks and the Norris Sellers, a matchup that was very close last year, where the Tigers won, where all honesty, they shouldn't have won. A lot of officiating helped the Tigers get the win on the year, but I'm going to just say this. LSU has to win this game. A lot of people are saying the season is over. I don't think it is. You're 4-1. You pretty much run the table in the SEC. You have to win this game. You have to get a running game going. As LSU, they'll get Caden Durham back in the lineup this week. Don't know about Aaron Anderson, but they absolutely need him in those kind of slot routes, kind of situations for LSU. But Garrett Nussmeier needs to do his job. And he's still not the answer. And honestly, I don't know if he's going to be the answer. Garrett Nussmeier is not a guy that you can lean on and hope for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's just not that guy. And it's been proven when Ole Miss dropped 8 in the coverage and ran 3-man fronts, they were able to get Nussmeier, and he continued to make bad decisions in that Ole Miss game, as we discussed last week. But he's got to do his job. He's got to do his job. I expect LSU to win this game at home. South Carolina's not very good on defense. The only thing that's going to hurt the LSU defense more than anything is going to be Lenore Sellers. But I think LSU comes out with a close win over the South Carolina Gamecocks. But that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's episode of No Huddle Hoops. Please check out our Instagram, follow there, subscribe to the channel, and let us know any comments that you might have for any future video ideas or anything like that. So this is DC out for episode 8 of No Huddle Hoops, and we'll see you next time.